Just when America has reached a breaking point with division, visionary influencer Danni Benson's I'm Proud of You Sis bro movement taps into the pulse and heartbeat of a culture radically torn. But this loving mom's voice of reason and calm has received national recognition.
How'd you balance having your children and always traveling with the Yankee organization?
When I became a dad, I said that I would always love like a mother.
I feel like I have to try certain things or act a different way because I know some people or some kids.
So join Danni Benson as she celebrates her special guests on her show and highlights their gifts and contributions to our world.
Hi, my name is Danni Benson. Thank you for coming on to see my show. I'm proud of you, sis. Please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe where podcasts are available. And also, I am on Channel 20 on Cablevision at 4 p.m. So please go and watch I'm Proud of You, Sis. I have an amazing guest today. I'm so happy that she is here with us, especially in the market that we are in right now with the high interest rates. People don't know if they should buy homes at 8% or if they should just wait steady for the market to decline and interest rates to be hopefully going the opposite direction. Hopefully the Feds will start cutting interest rates in 2024. But the way the market has been resilient, and we just found out that inflation is still at, well, it was last month at 3.7%, but now this month is at 3.2% compared to interest rates last year, but it's still pretty high for standards. The Fed is trying to get interest rates at 2%, which is usually the normal rate that our economy in the United States of America grows, where people could still afford goods without them paying more of their paycheck. Because I'm telling you right now, I heard that savings accounts have dwindled significantly because the dollar is worth less than it was worth before COVID. So your buying power is less. So I wanted Nadine Morency-Mohs Realty in 2012. She has since sold tens of millions of dollars in real estate. She specializes in complex real estate transactions involving real estate short sales and family disputes. And with those disputes and with real estate, with short sales, she always comes to a successful resolution where everyone is happy. So I'm so happy to have her on the show because I want her to help you guys, talk to you guys about the market right now. We can't stop thinking about, oh, what's going to happen in the future. Sometimes you have to take actions now because sometimes I don't really think that real estate is going to be cheaper. I think it's going to even be more expensive. But I want to welcome Miss Nadine to the show. I am so proud of her, sis. I want to give her flowers. She's a philanthropist. She gives so much to her community. She loves the youth. She gives back. She is a wife, a mom, a dog mom. I mean, and she knows, and she's a network extraordinaire. She gets to any circles and makes it happen, and she helps the transactions in any familiar circles become a successful transaction. Well, she will have that relationship forever. So I want to welcome Miss Nadine to the show. Hi, how are you?
Danny, thank you for having me.
Look, I was just on your Instagram. Give everyone your handles right now.
It's Jaymore Realty on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and my website, JaymoreRealty.com.
Okay, so I was on your Instagram and you were talking about Jamaica Estates or the Jamaica area, how you are finding out that this is going to be the new gentrification area in Queens because it's near the LIRR, it's near the A, the E, and the C. Is it also near the J?
Yes, so the E, J, and Z trains. The A and C it's on the other side of it's near the conduit, but the E, J, and Z trains, yes.
It's also near JFK.
Right.
It's also near AirTran. It's going to be the next place where property values are going to become more expensive if you don't try to see the future now and invest now. So she's here to talk about it to us. So let's talk about this area first and we dive into other areas.
Sure. So, Jamaica, Queens is the hub. From the Long Island Railroad, Jamaica is the hub where millions of people commute daily. Like literally, it's like almost a million people a day that commutes through Jamaica via from Long Island to Atlantic in Brooklyn, Atlantic Terminal, Grand Central, as well as Penn Station. And there was an organization that was created over 56 years ago called the Greater Jamaica Development Corporation by Carlisle Towery. He had a vision and a foresight and said, okay, this is where people commuting daily, this is a hub. And we are not, we meaning because I live in Queens, this hub is not respected as other hubs, such as the one in Manhattan, Penn Station, and other hubs.
And
So
also the one in Brooklyn too, the Atlantic one, because they revitalized that whole area with the Barclay Center. That whole area has been gentrified significantly.
exactly. So this was a vision, and he said, we need retailers here. We need hotels here. We need people here who will come to this community and stay, not just come through by means of just passing by, but come and stay, work, play, eat, and reside here. And he saw this vision where people need to invest in this neighborhood. And it's interesting that it took so long for it to be recognized as a hub and respected as such. But literally over the past 2 years, there is well over 15 high rises in this neighborhood, and it's still they're still growing. It's still building, and now people want to get in before the prices go up to a point where it's like it becomes unattainable, unaffordable. But this is the time.
So let me ask you a question. Is that area a lot of renters? Because when you say this is the time, you want people to sell or you want people to buy whatever is available?
So people need to purchase. I always encourage home ownership. I always encourage ownership because when you own, you have more control and power. When you are renting, there's not that much say that you have in terms of, in the long term, the long game. And you're building. When you own, you build equity. When you're renting, again, the control is not in your hands. So it's better to own. Um, there is a lot of ownership in Jamaica. Um, but yeah, but a lot of these buildings that are being built are rentals. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the price range in that area right now, and where do you see it going in the future? Just to give people a perspective of how, like, you founded Jaymore Realty in 2012, and that's basically like 10 years, 11 years now, because we're in 2023. How has it from 2012 to pre-COVID to now, and how much you see it in the future? How much of a percentage you've seen the rise of purchasing power?
Uh, over the last 10 years, I have seen. So, all right, let's use actual numbers. You have single family homes in the area. 10 years. I was talking to a few homeowners this past week, so I can give you actual numbers. Single family homes and two family homes were going for, single families were going for 10 years ago, 300, 400,000 single families 10 years ago. Now they're in the sevens, depending on the condition, to eights single families. Multifamilies 10 years ago were going for the numbers like around $500,000 for multifamily. Now they're literally a little bit below $1 million. A little bit. like about
So basically, in we'll say like in 10 years, the market in the area of Queens or New York City has gone up like $500,000.
yeah, almost double. Almost double.
Wow. So what is that? Like 100? No, basically, if it's five, so $200,000 every. Wait, is it $200,000 every year?
What happened was one of the biggest spikes that occurred was COVID. So post COVID, the bidding wars were insane, and it drove the values up exponentially. That was one of the driving forces. But obviously, over time, between uh, 10 years ago and prior to COVID, it was gradually, it was going up by 8%. Now, again, post COVID, the bidding wars, where people were buying properties 50, 100. Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. People keep calling, and I didn't press the do not disturb. Sorry
You know
about
what
that.
you have to do? You have to put focus on, so it blocks
Oh,
the calls coming in.
sure. Okay, focus. Let's see. It's in my settings.
But you don't have to do that now.
Oh,
You don't
all
have
right.
to do it now, but next time, like when you have conference calls, Zoom calls, what I
Oh,
tend to do with my Apple phone is
okay.
I go into focus and say from this time to this time, no disruption. So the calls can't come through or go into voicemail. And eventually when I'm done, I'll return everyone's calls back in Texas.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
No, the question you were saying you saying after COVID, everything went up.
Yes. So after COVID, everything went up exponentially because of the bidding wars. But again, within the next 10 years, things may double. We don't know, but it's not going down. Things are going up.
First of all, I think it's going to double because it's going to be the decision if you want to leave New York or if you want to go to the suburbs. Either you want to go, Westchester or Long Island. And even like Long Island we can't even drive no more. There's no traffic. You remember back in the day, there used to be rush hour?
Right.
There's no rush hour anymore. Rush hour is every single hour except if it's from, I say, after 8 and before 6. But the city, it's bumper to bumper. So I'm just trying to figure out, they're not really building that many homes.
Right.
There's an influx of people coming in, including, with the immigrants or asylum seekers coming in. The prices are going to go up because where is there that many places to stay with that many people coming in? Right. So it's going to drive the market up. So what do you tell people at an 8% interest rate right now? Do you buy or do you wait?
Okay, definitely don't wait. If you can qualify for mortgage, buy now, because when the rates come down, and they're not coming down to 2 and 3%, because that was an anomaly. When the rates came down, I mean, when can we remember in our lifetime that the rates were 2 and 3%? That was like almost a once in a lifetime thing. The rates will not go down. They can. It's not impossible. But what are the chances? What's the probability of the rates going down to 2 and 3%? When the rates do come down, the average rates are between 5 and 6. So,
really?
Yes.
So it's not that. So it is high, but it's not that high. I think everyone is thinking about 2-3%.
No.
But it's not going to be 2 or 3%. That was because of COVID. You know what? A lot of people I'm meeting are wishing there's going to be a recession. They're praying for a recession. They're praying that World War III happens. Because they're like,
but
okay.
Even if these occur, even if there's a World War III, even if there's a recession, look, we were just in COVID. What happened during COVID? Even us in the real estate industry thought that the market was going to tank. We were like, oh my God, this is a crisis that's going to really impact. This is it, because we were waiting for, so real estate is cyclical. Real estate goes up and it comes down but in different forms. So every 8 to 10 years, we do expect a recession, a correction in the market, and including the real estate market. So in the real estate market, you would expect a dip. How far does a dip go? No one will know. The dip may be, a 10% dip. It may be a 20% dip. The dip may be 2%. But what we expected in the real estate industry, we expected a dip. And what happened? The complete opposite. Bidding wars, significantly above asking price. We weren't even prepared for this,
But you
because
know why? Because everybody was leaving Manhattan.
but it didn't just happen in Manhattan. It happened in Long Island. It happened nationwide, actually. It wasn't just in New York.
So
Everything that
why was that? Like who would have thought to invest during COVID? Everybody was scared for their lives.
right.
Everyone was like hunkered in their house. But somebody said this is the time to buy.
It made people, so COVID quarantine made people think about their living arrangements. You're home in your home. You're in your home now, almost 24 hours a day for months, and you're looking around, taking inventory. Like, okay, is this a space that I want to be in the event this happens again? So, I want outdoor space? I can't, I'm going crazy. I need an office space. I'm working from home now. I'm going crazy looking at my family every second, and we all need our own space. So people wanted to go bigger. They wanted to, either move further away for, affordability. But it really got people thinking, to making a decision that I need to really invest in real estate, because this is where I'm going to be, for, I don't know, for the rest of your life, but at least for another 10, 20, 30 years. I need to know where I'm going to live, and I need to make sure I'm comfortable in my living space. So
So what do you think happened? Like the small apartments in New York City, those people wanted to get out.
yes, a lot of people left the city, and ironically, the city became, all those high rises and luxury affordable luxury apartments. They became affordable to some people. I remember talking to someone, a woman who lives, I believe she's in Midtown. She lives in a 4-story walk up. It was an older woman, and she said, now I was able to move into a luxury doorman building for the same rent that I was paying in a 4-story that I was there for 20 years, because they were giving so many incentives for people to come and live in these buildings, because everyone was leaving. They went back home to their parents. They went to Long Island. They went to the Midwest. Oh, and now, after quarantine, everyone came back. So all the
Well, let me ask you a question. That's what people are saying. Did people really come back? Because I read a report a couple of weeks ago that 500,000 people left New York, but 230 came back, because I read this.
Mhm.
So there was like a net loss of probably 200,000 people. But now with the influx of the asylum workers in there, and there's about like 120,000 asylum workers that are here right now. So, I mean, the question I'm asking you is New York City back?
New York City is definitely back. It's been back. It's been back. Literally, again, post quarantine. I want to say like 3 months later, the incentives that people were getting during quarantine, like we'll give you the management companies will give you 2 months rent free, and we'll give you, now there was, I don't know if you've seen these videos on social media. There were lines. There were lines wrapped around a block or two, waiting to see properties, especially if it appeared to be affordable, and people were bidding on rentals. So if the apartment was a 2-bedroom we're talking about the city, if it's a 2-bedroom was going for 2,500, now with these lines, you have these people offering 3,000, 3,500 for the same apartment rentals. This is not like a bidding war on property that you're going to own. So yeah.
But the insane thing is the average rent in New York City area and outside of Long Island, Westchester, they're saying it's $4,600.
Yeah.
People,
Even
people
downtown.
did not even imagine. Like 10 years ago, people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna rent because getting a house is more expensive because the mortgage was more expensive than renting." But it reversed. for a lot of people who bought homes 10 years ago, because there's people out there that's paying mortgages, like mortgage prices for a 2-bedroom, not that much space, and it's not even yours. So when I see the average rent in New York City and the surrounding area, of course, like the more rooms you have and the more space you have, the more money it is. But in the New York City itself, it's like $4,600.
That's right. That's right. And not just Manhattan, downtown Brooklyn. Studios are going for $4,000. Studios.
A studio apartment that has no rooms, your kitchen,
Right.
living room, bedroom is in one room.
Right.
And people are paying that?
Guess what? And so Jamaica being the new hub, that's what's happening in Jamaica too. Studios in Jamaica and those high rises, they're going for like 3,500. If in market rate units, you have affordable.
So then you're in Queens. You do every area. You do Long Island, New York State. You all over. How do you get people to see the vision of purchasing now and getting the return on investment later?
It's definitely a mental thing. People have to be mentally prepared before they make a decision and to purchase. Thankfully, a lot of the buyers that I do work with, they either had the vision and said, okay, you know what, I have a family, I'm ready to purchase because I know in the long haul this is going to benefit my family and I. Or they've watched their parents, they were homeowners and they themselves want to be homeowners. It's definitely a mental thing. You have to mentally prepare yourself to become a homeowner. But I do my best and try to encourage everyone that I work with, especially if they're going to rent an apartment and I know that they have the ability to afford a home. I try everything in my power to encourage them to purchase. And I do show them a side-by-side scenario. This is a renting. This is buying. This is renting over the course of 10 years, or no, I'm sorry, not even 10, over the course of 1 year versus owning over the course of 1 year. This is the equity that and thankfully, I have one of my favorite clients who actually listened. She called me and said, I got a promotion. I'm ready to rent a house. She wanted to rent a house because I rented her apartment 10 years ago and she wanted to move and she wouldn't even she would not have been ready to move yet if it weren't for the fact that the homeowner, the investor sold a house and the new owner was acting kind of weird towards her. So she said, I'm ready to leave. Mm-hmm. So I'm renewing my lease. I'm going to find a house to rent for a year or two and then I'll buy.
Wait. She wanted to rent the house instead of buying the house?
Because she wasn't mentally prepared. She didn't think it was possible for her yet. And I said, it is possible. You can do this and you can do it now. And I would feel like I did you a complete disservice if I encourage you to pursue that home ownership. That rental. And there was ironically, there was a house that she had qualified for. They wanted her. They loved her. And I forgot to mention that she had a dog. And they were like, oh my God, we adore her. We think she's amazing, but no pets. And that was by God's grace because she was like, oh, I had to convince her. I said, you know what? I will look for a house rental for you, but simultaneously, I will also look for a house for you. Whichever comes first, let's pursue that. And thankfully, the first house she saw, she bought it.
Wow.
Up in equity over $200,000. And she bought the house last year. She didn't even make a year yet. December is going to make a year.
So when you say a house goes in equity, why does that matter to a homeowner? What can you do with that? You're going to have to refinance to take the money out? Like, how does that whole process work?
You don't have to refinance to get you can get a home equity loan. So basically you don't have to say, let's say you're one of those people who are fortunate enough to purchase a home with a 2% interest rate. And you don't want to touch that rate because the rates are currently 8%. If you refinance, you're going to go, so you can do a home equity loan if you really need the money. But right now, again, the rates are really high. So I wouldn't recommend it at this time. But if the rates do come down to 5% or maybe even 4%, and you want to refinance, you want to get a home equity loan, you can take that money and pay your child's college tuition. You can purchase an investment property or multiple investment properties. because right now the Fannie Mae product, you can buy a multifamily for 5% down. So if you take 20%,
No, but are you allowed to get the Fannie Mae if you're no longer a first-time home buyer, though?
yeah, you can use it for investment properties as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So
I just thought that you had to be a first-time home buyer to take advantage of all these government programs.
no, when you're for a first time home buyer, you can purchase a home 3.5% down, 3% down, in some cases even 1% down payment. But as an investor, a Fannie Mae product came out with a new product, I think a few months ago, 5% down payment.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So, what other areas you want people to invest in right now? Like, what other areas that you see that? Because downtown Brooklyn back in the day, my aunt owned the brownstone. She wished she never sold that brownstone. She was like, "Who would have thought that they were gonna do this?"
Right.
And you know what I'm trying to tell people? Anywhere that you see transportation, because they want to get rid of us using cars, right?
Mhm.
Anywhere that you see that there's transportation where it's easy to go in and out into the city, I feel that those are the places that the prices, those are the best places to buy,
Right.
or buy an investment property to rent.
Right.
Because as the years go by, with the traffic that is so crazy in New York City, it's becoming like LA right now, where 2 miles takes 2 hours to get to. People are gonna want to just jump on a train and just go.
Right. Right.
So that is, I mean, I think Queens has so many like depots of trains that come through Queens that Jamaica is good. What other areas in Queens that you feel that we should like look into purchasing?
Well, this is like the primary, in my opinion, Jamaica, because all of the other areas are saturated with high price homes. Jamaica is on the rise, so
Oh,
as it's as it's increasing, as prices are increasing. So if you think of Flushing is a hub where you can get to the city in no time.
like
But
at like Astoria, right? Flushing,
yeah,
Astoria.
Astoria is not far from the city, but how the prices in Astoria is insane. The prices in Flushing are insane. And again, Jamaica is the hub to not just Manhattan, but to the Hamptons, to Long Island, to JFK. And now they're in talks of having that AirTran commute to LaGuardia as well as to Newark.
Finally, because
Yeah,
there's an area on the Van Wyck where it stops. It goes down like this, and I'm like, why didn't they just continue it to try to go to LaGuardia, because they revitalized LaGuardia. It looks so good now. But that's because sometimes then they'll give you the option if you want to go to JFK or if you want to go to LaGuardia.
right, right. Exactly. So yeah, there's definitely talks about having the AirTran go to LaGuardia. But this is, again, I can't
Oh my God, I want to buy, because you're right. Because once that go to LaGuardia, that whole area is gonna be worth millions.
well, here's the thing. People already, so it's unfortunate to say, but people who don't look like you and I, they already understand and they already see the vision. It's the people that look like you and I that need to get it. They need to get it quickly because
No, I think the difference is people like you and I are sometimes it's our parents, right? Remember we're talking about we watch your parents. So we had a fortunate that we had parents who were like mini entrepreneurs before we even knew what entrepreneurs was, right? So that took the fear out of us, because we were like, okay, they did it, we see their struggle, but look what happened later. So now for us, it's like we can do it too. That fear is not really there. It's there a little bit, but we've seen our parents do it and make it through, so we want to do it too. I just think it's education. I just think is who your role models are, who you saw growing up, your mentorship. Um, I think it's who you surround yourself with, your circle. I don't really think it's a black and brown thing. I know like black and browns, we're more fearful to take that chance, but there's a lot of black and browns that are doing it. You're doing it. I can name so many people who are just taking the jump.
You know what it is? I feel like more of us need to be doing it because the wealth gap is widening at unprecedented rates. Like, I'm talking about, this is how we build our wealth. Like that's how like 99% build their
But
wealth.
but you know, that's what I realized too. Like when I went to NYU and all the kids were going there, didn't have to pay anything. They're like, oh yeah, my parents refinance. I was like, really? They refinance? People need to understand, like, yes, having a home is a lot of responsibility because people say, I don't want to worry about the grass. I don't want to worry about. People feel like it's so much you have to worry about that they rather just be in a place, just pay the rent and keep it moving, right? But a lot of your kids won't even have to pay for college because you could take that equity from the home. This is how they were all able to take equity for the home. Don't take no loans out. And at 21 years old, they were debt free.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So people need to see the buying power of having a home, especially if you have children.
Exactly. But not just, okay, that's one component. If your child doesn't want to go to college, if your child, like you said, is entrepreneurial and they already have an idea and are pursuing it straight from high school, okay, that money can help them start their business. That refi money can help you acquire again 1, 2, 3, 4 investment properties that's giving you cash flow to help you pay off your mortgage and still produce an income for you, so a retirement income, so that way you don't have to worry about later on in life that you have to do a reverse mortgage. There's so many options when it comes to real estate. This is what this real estate community is trying to give to the community, letting them know, like, this is information that we're giving you because we see it day in and day out, and we want you to take heed because that's how people build wealth. There are times I remember when my father, I think this was before the recession, before the 2008 economic crash. He was like, where are these people getting this money from? It was through real estate, right?
Yeah.
They were buying real estate. They were buying multiple properties. Unfortunately, there was a crash, but people were buying homes at an unprecedented rate. And that was allowing them to buy these luxury vehicles and go on vacation and do the things they wanted to do. It was through real estate.
And I think that you talking about your dad, this is my point. If you're not going to own a company, as all of us have to understand, the next course of line is owning a home.
Right.
Because that home is where the wealth is going to come from. So if you're not going to be an entrepreneur, start up a company and be like a Mark Zuckerberg, Eli Musk, there's so many different companies, right? Then what is the next thing that we can do? Like just regular people like me and you could do to get some sort of that, close that income, the wealth gap. It's really by owning a home.
Right. That's
You're
right.
not going to really get it from, unless you're a doctor, PA, nurse, or something like that, or a CEO of a VP, you're not going to get that money that you would get as compared to if you own your own home at a
Right.
fast rate. And second of all, people have to start thinking about retirement. They're saying that you need about $4 million to retire, like to not worry about working. And you know what people have to understand too? Social Security is called a supplement, not to live on it.
Right.
And people forget that. People are like, oh, I'm gonna have Social Security. No, it's called a supplement. It's not. It's people think you're gonna get so much money. It's not that much.
It's not at all. And the inflation is going, it's not going to even mean anything. And they're trying to do away with social security, where you may not even see that.
Yeah,
But
because by 2034, the year my kids graduate, if they don't do anything now, whether they raise the age or don't have a cap at where Social Security taxes are, because right now I think it's like 150, but they want to uncap it, then it's going to be insolvent, meaning that there's not going to be nothing there, and that's literally in 10
right.
years. And you know what? I get what people are saying. We paid into it. So I sometimes blame the government too, because what government do is they're taking money out of it and borrowing out of it. And what's happening with our government right now is we're in $33 trillion in debt, and we're paying the high interest rate as everybody else. So we're even going into more debt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I need to tell people out there, and you need to tell people out there, yes, we are scared, but we have to take action now.
Great. You know, this is this is a testament to a visionary, someone who can see down the road, someone who could see. And unfortunately, I think so many people are so short-sighted. They're thinking about the now as opposed to the later. And it's more important to think about later than it is now at times, because what happens is I've worked with so many senior citizens who either took a reverse mortgage out on their property.
Can you explain what a reverse mortgage is? Because
Yeah.
do they even know they're taking a reverse mortgage? I hear all these people are doing reverse mortgages. Are they tricking them? What is reverse mortgage?
Reverse mortgage is when you're taking equity from your home. In the case of these seniors, they're living off of this because, as you said, Social Security is a supplement. Some people's pensions are last but for so long. It's not infinite. So they take a reverse mortgage, and that means that they're taking the equity from their home, and it's basically, instead of you paying your mortgage, the lender is paying you every month. But these fees are usury. These fees are so predatory that by the time they, let's say for instance, um, they do a reverse mortgage on their home for $100,000, they slap a lien of $500,000 on your property, and then a lot of times the hope is that the homeowner passes away and they could just take the home.
But then the kids don't have nothing. There's no generational wealth.
But let me pause you right there. This is where, and I don't know if you were there yet, when I mentioned, this is where the children and the grandchildren have to help their parents and their grandparents, because mama and papa provided a roof over your head. They did what they could when they had an income. Now they're on a fixed income and they don't have the ability to maintain the way they used to. I remember talking to an MTA worker who was working for over 30 years. And I call, because sometimes I call people on a foreclosure list and I try to help it the best way that I can. And when I called him, he lived in Laurelton. When I called him, he was in complete tears. And he said, my kids don't even know I did a reverse mortgage, but I was so busy trying to help them because I was used to being the
The
caregiver,
caretaker.
provider. So when they needed help as in their adult years, I took a reverse mortgage and I needed to live as well. And now I'm in foreclosure and they don't even know. So
Wow.
this is where,
But you know what? Our culture, not everyone in our culture, we our parents taught us to help that, like I have no issues helping like my parent. I don't have no issues, like they helped us, right?
right,
I hear friends say, well, that's their problem. I'm like, no, their problem is really your problem, because those are your parents. They supported you. They had your back. Now, why would you not help your parents out? Especially that the money that they're making now with inflation is really nothing. Their
exactly.
pension is nothing. Their pension was from like the 90s, like the early 2000s. Their pension is not going to do nothing for them right now. You know, the Social Security supplement was when they were making lower wages.
Right.
That's not going to do nothing for them now. So what would you tell that parent? Would you rather tell a parent to sell the house and get the equity in their hands and try to put the equity in an investment? What would you tell someone who is, this is going to be our last point? What would you tell someone who is in a situation where I'm elderly, I'm on a fixed income, I don't want to do reverse mortgage, but what else I'm going to do? My kids don't want to help me out. Would you sell?
Yeah, that's a case by case situation. But on that point, yes. So I actually, exactly what you just stated, I had a scenario like that also in Laurelton. The woman called me. She said, I'm in between selling my house and doing a reverse mortgage. I said, do you have children? She said, I have two. I said, okay. She said, one of them, he's out there, he's doing God knows what. The other one, she lives in Maryland, and I can go and live with her. I said, okay, you need to sell, take that money and go live with her, and that way you can give them each what you want to give them, and you have money to live off of. She was here by herself, in the house. She didn't really need the house. Like, she had somewhere to live. I said, sell. And that's exactly what she did. And I followed up with her years later. She's the most happiest that she's ever been. So it's on a case-by-case basis in terms of should you sell or reverse mortgage. If you have no children, you have no heirs, you don't have any nieces and nephews you want to leave the house to, you want to do a reverse mortgage? Yeah, why not? Why not? Because when you're no longer here, the house will go to the state or someone, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, why not just sell it?
but if you okay, so like, again,
sell it with the prices now, but obviously what you got it for, you're gonna get at least $500,000.
right?
But then now you have to get into something else.
It depends on where you are. It depends on the condition of the home. A lot of these people who purchase homes back in the days, not everyone, but a lot, they bought these homes and were living paycheck to paycheck. So they didn't do the proper renovation, renovations and upgrades to the standards that this generation likes. So when this generation walks into their home, they're like, this home still looks like it, it's in 1970.
Oh, so it looks like 60s, 70s. It's not upgraded. It's not modernized. So now you got to put money into that too.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you one thing. Letitia James just came out with a new rental law. Did you hear about it?
Who did?
Letitia James, Attorney General of New York. That renters now have the right to stay in a house for 1 year without paying any rent.
Letitia James, you said?
You have to look at the new rental laws.
Okay, so
I am in shock right now because she basically said if you're a landlord and you go to court, if the judge decides to evict you, the tenant has, by law now, it just came into effect October 1st, 2023, that they have 1 year to move out without paying rent.
So we saw what just happened this week with the landlord who killed the 3 tenants, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I could say if she said 3 months, maybe 6 months. How many people you think is going to take advantage of that? I could stay in the house for a year, collect a year's rent, don't have to pay nothing. And then now you leave the landlord in a crappy place because they still have to pay for your heat. They still have to pay for your, however the situation is. I don't know how the situation is. And this person gets to sit in your house for 1 year.
So
you have to look it up. I was in such shock. I was like, this is going to further ruin the New York market.
Yes. I have a client who had to pay, not had to, but I recommended that they did pay to just because it was insanity. This guy was living there for 3 years, non-paying tenant, and he refused to leave. And I said, we're selling the house. No one is going to buy a house with a non-paying tenant. I would rather you give him money to leave.
So you can't wait. So you can't evict someone in New York City if you're selling your house?
You can, but like as you just stated, it can take about a year. It can take I know people who've had strokes because of non-paying tenants. So I don't condone murder. I don't condone what that landlord did, but I understand his mindset. Why? I understand that he probably was at the breaking point. It was so unfathomable when you go to court and you hear the judge tell you they have another 3 months. And it wasn't 1 tenant he had, it was 3. So imagine I know people who went to foreclosure for tenants, who lost their homes for tenants. And that tenant picked up and went somewhere else and did the same thing and didn't even think twice about that landlord.
And then she also passed a law that you cannot use their past for them not to get a new home. So basically, if they sat in one house for 1 year, not paid rent, and now they're coming to you and maybe you found out about it, you cannot use that. It's against the law now.
I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see. So what employer is going to employ someone knowing that they have a history of stealing from the company?
I just feel that New York, what I'm thinking is New York is not taking the responsibility that, okay, they feel like the person's going to be homeless, so now it becomes their responsibility. So instead of that it being New York, the government's responsibility, they don't even care about the landlord. People think landlords make so much money, and I don't feel like they do. Now, if you have buildings of maybe like 40, units, yeah, but a lot of people who are renting are people like you said in Jamaica. It's like a multi-family. It's like maybe like you and someone else, or you or two other people. So basically, New York State is now saying that I still have to take care of this person in my home. So what about me and my family? So now I'm going to take care of that's
You
so
you
I
hit
think
it.
I think a lot of people are going to take advantage of that. I think a lot
You,
of people are
no,
going to take
they've already been doing it, and you hit it on the nail. This New York City doesn't want another person in their shelter system. They would rather see they not they would rather see, but they would rather allow a homeowner to lose their home than for another person to enter into the shelter system. It's all about money, and it's all about they're trying to look out for their best interests in terms of the budgets that they have, as opposed to they don't care about a taxpayer. One taxpayer, property taxpayer, is not going to affect their bottom line, but someone coming to the shelter, the amount of money they pay per month to house that person, that's what's affecting their bottom line, and that's what they care about.
And with Mayor Adams now is going to cut so much because of the influx of asylum workers here. What happens if you rent? People are not going to want to rent. Like, think about it. If I'm a landlord, wouldn't you be afraid to rent?
Yeah, and this is a tenant friendly state. It's a tenant friendly, so that's why a lot of people who do invest, they'd rather not invest in New York City because of that.
No, but
Some
this is for
people
New York State.
go to Jersey.
It's not even a city thing now. She made it like for the whole state.
Yeah, but a lot of people from New York rather go to New Jersey and invest, or PA, than to invest here, or Connecticut, in New York City, because it's too tenant friendly. I know a woman called me years ago. She was in foreclosure. She said she got a divorce. She left her husband in the house in Brooklyn. She thought that he was gonna stay. He decided to pick up and leave. Squatters got into the house. She doesn't even know how. They were gang affiliated, and she was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm trying to evict them. I couldn't evict them, so she hired me, and I brought one of my clients who was a detective. She said, "Don't go there by yourself. This house has been flagged." She said, "This is a gang affiliated house." And I had an investor who wanted to buy it. I was doing a short sale. The investor said, "I'll buy it. I'll give them $30,000 to leave," because we tried doing the eviction process. He said, "What am I going to do with that?" He said, "What am I going to do with that?"
The
I
squatters. Wait. The squatter said that.
He said, I make that in a week.
What? So you basically like hijacking my home, and I
He
have
was
no right.
he was living there for 2 years, not paying. She didn't even know who the person was. She didn't rent it to him. The husband, he said he doesn't even know how they got in the house. They hijacked the house, and literally, again, we were in court, and thankfully, and he had an attorney, and she kept doing order to show cause. They kept getting time. The judge was giving them time. It was going on for almost a year.
What's wrong with the? So I think the judges are, honestly, in my opinion, are in cahoots.
They are.
Because it's just like you're giving the pure person time, and you know the person's not paying.
Yep. And squatters have tenant rights after 30 days. So yes.
Wow. So
basically that 30,000 that he didn't take, he wound up getting evicted a week later, and the marshals got him out. So he could have walked away with $30,000 had he cooperated, but he chose not to. So it worked out.
Well, first of all, I want to give you your flowers. Thank you so much, Nadine, for coming on my show. I'm proud of you, sis. Please say your handles one more time so people can find you, especially about the gentrification in Jamaica. You're pushing people to have this, the goggles to see. I know it looks crazy now, but let's think about how it could look 10 years from now. But you got to buy cheap now when it looks crazy.
Right. Exactly. Just real quick. there was a brownstone I did a short sale on in Bed-Stuy in 2010. It was a fully renovated 3-family brownstone. I sold it for someone. Unfortunately, she had the vision. They had the vision. They had the foresight, but unfortunately, the timing was off for them. I had to do a short sale. Got it approved for 510. A fully renovated 3-family. That 3-family is worth 2010. It's currently worth almost $3 million in Stuyvesant Heights.
Wow.
This was before the Barclays was built, and they knew Barclays was. So,
I know she wish she could have kept that.
She tried. Oh, she tried. Oh, they tried. They tried. It's so unfortunate that, again, timing was off for them, but they tried. And they knew. Oh, by the way, they bought it for $325.
And now it's worth $3 million?
Just about like 2.8. Yeah.
So anyone out here in New York City, New York State, tri-state area, if you're looking to invest in Jamaica, please go to Jaymore Realty. She, as you can see, she's an expert. She knows what she's talking about. She's been in the business since 2012. And she's
I started real estate in 2005. I started my company in 2012.
Oh, wow. So you've been in it. Well, I don't want to say your age then. Well, almost 20 years. But she's an expert. I'd rather deal with an expert, someone who's been in the market, to see the market trends for 20 years, than to meet someone new who just doesn't really know. Because at least with Nadine, you know that you're in good hands. So thank you, Miss Nadine, for coming on my show. And please, guys, next week, come watch I'm Proud of You, Sis, and share it with your family, friends, and your neighbors, and everyone else. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.